Hello everybody and welcome for some more live action gameplay. Today I've decided to go Imladris because I just like playing Imladris. They're actually really fun to play, they're really difficult to play, and I'm just trying to learn for myself as well how to play them well because, you know, they are the newest faction. I mean, 4.4 has been out for ages by now, but they are still the newest faction. I think I've become reasonably good with them, but they're almost like, it's like playing Company of Heroes when you're playing with Imladris, because it's one of those factions where combat is so much more important, and not losing units is so much more important. Whereas someone like Mordor, really losing units is neither here nor there. When you're losing 3 units, it's not really that big of a deal. But if you lose one of these guys, they're 500 resources each, so that is a huge loss, especially early on in the game. Now, with that being said, I am going to take the risk, as I so often do, almost exclusively do on this map, and that is to attack the Warg Layer first. Just because I think really it's an advantage of Imladris to be able to do this with your starter unit. You do have to be very, very, very careful to make sure that both the wargs don't come and attack you, because really then you are in huge risk of losing your battalion. Luckily for me, that didn't happen, and only one warg went to attack me there. Now I simply move in to attack the second one. You have to be certain to do this stand fast ability as well, to just make doubly sure that you're getting that extra armor. Also, I want all of my units to be attacking, because something you have to realize about Imladris as well is, like, say one of my units in my battalion isn't attacking, that's 1/5 of my damage potential being wasted, because you've only got 5 units in the battalion. So it's really quite a big deal that if one of your units or a couple of your units in your battalion of Imladris units isn't actually attacking something, it's actually quite a big percentage of the damage that you're missing out on. That's just being absolutely wasted. Okay, that's good news. That warg didn't actually kill any of my units in that battalion. However, they are quite low health now. So that's something I need to watch out for when I'm creeping these wildmen. I'm playing, by the way, against WCP, who is becoming a very good 1v1 player. He often plays in team games, and I've often played with him in team games. And I'm just hoping that he's not an army that has cavalry. Or, barring cavalry, I'm hoping that he's not Angmar, because the walls of Angmar are so good against the Imladris units, because obviously they're faster than them, and therefore you can't run away. You can't run your Imladris units away from them. So far it's not going too bad. I mean, I've been getting a few farms. So far I haven't seen any cavalry or wolves, and he is Gondor. And it looks like he's going for an elite unit strategy, because he's gone for this townhouse. That's the advantage of getting Gildor, by the way. You can see exactly what your enemy is. And also, to a certain degree, what tactics they're going for. Now, Imladris is pretty good against Gondor, above all other factions, really. Because Gondor have got no counter to Elven Land throughout the entire game. Another faction that is true for is Rohan. However, Rohan have got cavalry, which are excellent against Imladris, because they can chase units down. And also, Rohan can get a counter for Elven Land, but it's just very much later on in the game, and it's through Eomer, actually, who gets a debuff. So it is possible to counter the Elven Land, and countering the Elven Land with Imladris is actually a huge deal, because once again it's a percentage increase on your troops. So if you can get that and maintain that, it really is quite huge. But you don't want to be just running your guys away from the Elven Land and not actually using it at all. That is a bad idea. So let me just pull them back here, grab this money. I could build a farm there, but I don't really need to. And let's see actually here. They'll probably do reasonably well. Now, they are low health, so actually, thinking about it, as you may have seen there, he was just about to surround my units. That's something that you need to constantly be watching out for when you're playing Imladris. And that is your enemy trying to surround your units. Because very often, your enemy will outnumber you, unless you're playing against Imladris, unless it's an Imladris mirror, you will almost always be outnumbered in fights when you're playing Imladris. And the best way for your enemy to you know, kind of gain an advantage over you is to flank your units. And really, oh, here we go. He's going for a stable, so I'm going to have to get some pikes out. It's not a huge deal because the units themselves, and here we go, there's that flanking. I just about managed to miss it before he started to do it. So these units are in quite big trouble here. Luckily, I brought some of my own guys over, and they should be reasonably okay now. So I'll just harass here. Yeah, the swordsmen do pretty much, you know, quite decent damage against the cavalry of any faction. Gondor cavalry in particular is very decent, so you do have to watch out for that. So I'm going to get some pikes out. But especially when you split your units, cavalry can deal a huge amount of damage unless you're covering your units with pikes. If the cavalry runs into a huge clump of swordsmen, then you're pretty much guaranteed to survive. But as you see here, I am actually splitting my units a little bit just to try and gain some map control. So I have to think now, where is he going to send his cavalry? And if he combines his cavalry with some attacks from his infantry, then really that's where I'm going to be in a bit of trouble. As we see over here, if he was to bring his cavalry over here and start to do some trampling, I could be in big trouble, because he could trample my units, knock them to the ground, then surround my units with his units that he outnumbers me by, and in that way start to deal some huge damage. And if I was to lose this little clump here of Imladris units, really that would almost be GG for me right there. However, when this pike comes over, I'm going to be a lot more secure in my position. So I've got enough command points to get another one of you guys. Soon I'll be going for another pantry when I have enough money, just to continue the spam. And I will also soon be thinking about getting some cavalry of my own out, both to counter his cavalry with the speed boost that they get, and also to gain map control and deal some damage to some of his spam. Because as we see here, he's actually got no pikes in this little clump. So if I was to come in with some Imla cav, really I could do quite a bit of damage. And here is his cav. I'll throw down an Elven Land. If it could actually work, that would be absolutely fantastic. There was a nice arrow volley from him. Let's see, get some more of these guys out. And he's doing some quite nice cavalry micromanagement there to kind of avoid the pikes. Let me just use the Breeze of Manway and try to escape here, because it's not looking great for me. So that's something that the Breeze of Manway is good for. It can be used defensively, and it just gives you that little bit of extra time to try and run away. Let me bring these units over and try not to clump too much. Try not to split too much, I should say. And now, yes, he's probably going to come in with the cavalry to try and chase them down, although I have got pikes there covering. But if I can bring them over here to the well now, then these guys will be reasonably safe, as indeed it seems that they are. So it seems like, actually, he's the one that's not splitting. I'm splitting a reasonable amount, whereas he's got his main body of forces over here, which has allowed me to gain some control over this side of the map. It's meant that I've not been able to win the battle over here, but really that's not a huge deal, because yes, I lost the battle over there, but the only advantage that he's gained is to destroy a few of my farms on this side of the map, but I've been doing the exact same thing unopposed over here. So now that I've got 2 battalions of pikes out, really that's quite a huge deal, and something really he's going to have to watch out for now in this game. He's not going to be able to trample over my units so easily, as he did just a little bit earlier. Now I'll get some pantry upgrades on the inside farms, because they are a bit more secure. And oh, look at this, he hasn't gone for the troll, so I may as well get that while I'm here. And let's see now, is he going for this one? I could get the vision there. Let's actually get the vision on his base. It seems like he's coming over to attack me now, so I'm going to have to bring all my troops over to this to try and ensure that I gain that. And if I gain that, that'll be quite nice. I should actually be able to get it here. So that's a nice big advantage for me now, that little bit of extra money. Now what should I invest it in? I'm going to get a library before I get some cavalry, because this infantry spam is doing reasonably well for me so far. So there's no real reason to switch it up just yet. when I've got enough money, of course, I will go for some cavalry, because cavalry in this game is just so, so good. No matter what faction you are. Like I've said before, even the Angmar cavalry, which is pretty rubbish, it can still do a huge deal for you, just because of how great cavalry is, in general, in Edain. So next I'll get this ability, which will allow me to get the hobbits a little bit later on. And also the damage boost is just going to be nice in general. So yeah, Imladris is super, super hard to play. It's probably the hardest faction to play well, in my opinion, at the moment. But with that being said, they do so well against Gondor. They do really, really well against Gondor. And I remember when Dimitri used to play exclusively Imladris, and I used to play a lot of Gondor, even more Gondor than I do now. I used to lose to him all the time with Imladris. I could beat him with any faction versus his Imladris, apart from Gondor, and I just used to lose like 5 or 10 matches in a row against him, and it was really quite disheartening. I've since worked out a reasonable way to counter Imladris with Gondor, and it focuses heavily on cavalry. So maybe I'll be able to have the opportunity to show you guys that as well in the near future. But it is really difficult, and I personally believe one of the main reasons why it's so difficult for Imladris is because of the Elven land that is impossible to counter with Gondor. Well, I mean, the only way that you could counter it would be simply to walk away from the Elven land. But that only really works when you're not forced to attack in a certain position. Like, say, for example, Imladris was to attack an outpost, which he may have got one here. He doesn't. But if he had one there, really I could go over there to challenge it, put an Elven Wood down, and he won't be able to run away, because if he ran away, I'd kill his outpost. So yeah, it's really important when you're attacking in an area that your enemy really can't retreat from. So now here you see he's doing quite a bit of splitting of his own, whereas I've got quite a big clump now that his cavalry is out. And really that's a feature of seeing cavalry on the field. It kind of forces you to split a lot less. So therefore I'm simply going to get some cavalry of my own. And then if he ever splits his units and he's got units without pikes, small clumps of swords without pikes, really they're super vulnerable to cavalry. So I'm hoping now, by getting some cavalry out, I'm going to do reasonably well at stopping his splitting. He's attacking my command point building here, which is a bit of a setback. And as you may have heard then, this one elven guy was just saying we haven't got enough command points. So that means that my next battalion of cavalry isn't going to be able to come out. It's a little bit disappointing. So there you see that's quite a big clump, and the cavalry isn't so great against big clumps of swordsmen, even like regardless of pikes being in the clump. However, if you have a look at the map, I've got quite a big part of it. Probably the majority of the map is under my control. Here's his cavalry, and I'm looking for the military upgrade so I can unlock some of my abilities for my units here. Hopefully his cavalry micro isn't so good. Indeed it isn't, and he runs into some of my pikes there, so a bit of bad micromanagement there from WCP. So yeah, I mean, look at the amount of units that I've got out already, and these are Imladris units, so really it's going to be hard to kill that clump now for him. I need some more command points, so let's get some more of those pantries up. Get some more buildings, because of course resource buildings allow you to get command points as well. And here's that ability, so it's come in, and yes, this is an example of Imladris' abilities working well together. So I've used the speed boost on the swordsman, I've used the speed boost on the cavalry as well, and the elven land, and this really forces his hand into fighting a little bit as well. Because of the Breeze of Manwë, he can't really run away as effectively, and he also can't run away very well because of the speed boost that I have. And he says that seals the deal. Indeed, it probably does. And in comes the hobbits as well, which would have been nice to use in combination with the Breeze of Manwë. And actually, he's got some archers out, which is a pretty nice idea against Imladris, because you can really focus down units of them. And there we go. He's given the GG, and that's it. So that was an example of how effective Imladris can be against Gondor, and really I use very similar tactics against any other faction. It just so happens that that particular tactic of mine does work particularly well against Gondor, and I'm sure you'll find in your games, if you ever play Imladris, that they do well against Gondor. So let's have a look at the units, and really look at this. This is quite interesting to see that WCP's units were constantly higher than mine by quite a huge margin throughout the whole game. Now, of course, my units were quite a bit better than his because they're elite units, whereas he was spamming some swordsmen more than anything. When the battle started to happen, really he dropped by quite a few troops, and I was building a lot as well at that point. But as you see, it's a general uptrend from both of us to increase the number of troops. And I was constantly below him, but it didn't really matter that much because I only fought when I knew I could win, and I focused a lot more on destroying his buildings through splitting. And here's the resource production. Now this might look like we're floating a lot of resources, me and WCP here, but actually if you look at the scale, it's quite low. Sometimes this scale can be up to like 4,000 resources if somebody, if one of the people playing is floating a lot of resources. So actually below 1,000 a lot of the time is the resource float, which is reasonably good. I mean, it's not excellent, and certainly if this was a StarCraft player, a professional StarCraft player, the resource float would be very, very extremely low as it possibly could be, unless there was a reason to have it higher. But there you go in the final score, and really the splitting helped me a lot to destroy a lot of his farms, and slowly I just built an advantage until I was ready to launch a big attack using all of my powers in combination, and I just managed to kill a lot of his units, and he gave the GGs. There it is, 9.9 kill to death ratio. The max income rate was higher, and also the total resources gathered was higher from me. So, good game, GG, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hello everybody, and welcome back. I'm in another Imladris game, against the same player, WCP, who's gone random again, and we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't get Gondor, so you can see a little bit of variation in play. And particularly, I assume, if he doesn't get Gondor, it's really going to highlight how well Imladris actually does do against Gondor. And if he gets someone, say, he gets Angmar or Rohan, and he really hits me heavy with speedy troops, then you'll see, really, the disadvantage of Imladris, and why I believe it's one of the most difficult factions to play. But as we see, I don't know what he is, so I mean, maybe I'd switch up my tactics if I did know what he was. But really, this is my tactic as Imladris, and it is to grab those two outside farms with my starter battalion, just to get a nice bit of cheap early economy. Creep the warg, once again, some more economy and some money from the creeps, as well as some experience from my troops, and get an early sword battalion from the barracks. You've seen this before in some of my replay videos, but now's really is a good opportunity to see that strategy in live action. So I got a little bit lucky there with that warg. His other warg buddy was very close by to him then, and I could have easily had two wargs descending upon me, which almost always loses you the battalion. You basically have to retreat if that ever happens. And because of the damage dealt from the warg, if that does happen, very often you can't actually creep the warg, and it sets you back quite a bit in your development. But I was reasonably okay there, and we'll attack here. So make sure that all my units are attacking. See once again, this guy on the end was slacking off there, and he wasn't actually attacking the building. So that's 1/5 of your damage, just completely irrelevant. Seems as if this time... Oh no, the warg does come out. I was just about to say the warg didn't come out this time. Was that one of my units down? I think it might have been. There is one down now, so I'll give the heal off. Yeah, don't forget... Oops, that's a little bit of bad macro there from me. To send those guys over there. That was just an all-round mistake. Just lost control of those units there. So you do have to be careful of that. Sometimes... So I told these guys to attack this wildman pit at the bottom. And look at all the issues that are coming from it. I told this guy to attack the units at the bottom. And after all the wildmen were dead, instead of attacking the pit, they moved over here to kill some of the wildmen over here. And now that I've aggravated them, as you see, I've got some axe throwers hurling axes at me. So that's going to deal some damage to my units. It's just going to slow down my progression in general. So that was just a plain mistake from me. Bad micromanagement, bad creeping technique. All that being said, they are tanky enough to deal with it. Get rid of that Wildman pit. And now they can move over here to attack with the help of these guys. So let's go for Gildor actually. Or actually, let's get one more unit out. Because I haven't actually seen any cavalry yet. Gildor isn't essential in my opinion. It's just nice to have him. The only problem is that he costs 250 resources, which is quite a lot. It's more than most scout heroes. But he is. He's like scout hero confirmed in Edain. Because, oh my god, he's Imladris. Lol, 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 lol. He's Imladris. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be another Imladris mirror. Just like the Battle of Champions. The game between me and Mogat. Which features on this channel. Ooh, I hope that... Yes, that's good. It didn't block off the money. Sometimes your resource building blocks off the creep money. Luckily, it didn't happen in that case. So let's grab this here. So you guys just stop there. I'll give you this damage boost as well to quickly kill one of these wargs, so that you don't lose too much. You attack there. And here you see I've got a level 2 unit there. And I've also got an extra level 1 unit. So really, there's no micromanagement needed here to kill these wargs. It's only when you've got one level 1 battalion of Imladris units that you really have to be careful about losing your units to the wargs. If you have 2, or even if you have like one leveled up one, as we saw here, especially with the boost, really the micromanagement is not so important. Because they're pretty much guaranteed to kill the 2 wargs without too much problem, even if they're attacking them at the same time. So it seems like I've got quite a lot of the creeps. I'm assuming that he's gone for the troll pit, because I haven't seen him very much on the flanks. So yes, you do get a lot of money from the troll pits, double what you get from a wildman or a warg pit. But you don't get the farms like you do with going for the flanks. Wow, he's got some early hobbits out. Luckily for me, I can run away and they won't actually inflict any damage to me. So let's actually split there. Oop, I went ahead and forgot to get that farm. Derp. Of course, the other faction that Imladris does pretty well against, if you're good at playing Imladris, is Imladris. Because really, in Imladris mirrors, it's just whoever is the better player of Imladris will win. There's no real balance issues involved, obviously, because it's completely symmetric. There's nothing more balanced than symmetry. So let's just pull back here. So he's attacking me with one battalion up there. He's harassing me a little bit here. I don't want to come in and attack because of these hobbits. I'm just going to simply wait for them to run out. I think he's only got one unit up there. Let's control group these guys. So you guys up here can be control group 1. And you're control group 2. So, oh, did he harass that as well? I'm not doing very well on I'm keeping track of where my farms are in this game. I'll just send you over to see what's going on over there. You guys can go and harass over there. And something that, yes, I could go for, and actually, now that I've got Gildor, really I need to be looking at what he's doing. So he's got a lot of inside economy bases. However, I've got the majority of the map, which is nice. So what I could do, and probably, it's difficult. It's difficult to know whether to invest in the inside buildings or... I'm gonna go a little bit risky and go for an early library just to get that speed boost, so I can start to kill some of his units. Now, because he's gone for quite a heavy inside eco building strategy, yes, he will probably be able to afford the cavalry, as we see there. So that's going to force me into getting some pikes out. And actually, he's got that as well. So it seems like his money is pretty good at the moment. So this could be quite devastating for me, actually. If I lose some units here, let's actually get the hobbits out. Make sure that those guys are all on defensive. Get the hobbits out, and I should be able to protect myself there. Now, I need to watch out for his cavalry now. So this is becoming a very nice game already. Wow, I lost a lot of units there. Yes, it seems like my my rush for the outside economy buildings didn't do too well because he's just outnumbering me here in terms of he's just overwhelming me in terms of the economy because he managed to get his library up before me, probably due to getting those trolls in the early game. So it seems as if my tactic of going for the outside farms didn't work out very well in that position. And now I'm really forced to get some pikes out because I know that some of his cavalry will be coming very soon. All that being said, I do actually have almost the entirety of the map, which is, of course, always nice. And his cavalry isn't that tanky, so I might still be able to do reasonably okay. Now let's definitely make sure to get some inside resource buildings. Let's go ahead and harass over here. We'll get my first battalion of pikes to defend those guys. My second battalion. I haven't actually got enough command points for it, which isn't great. So yes, WCP is playing Imladris very well here, and it is becoming very difficult for me to stay in this game. Because as we see, he's using his units over here, which he killed loads of my units there in that attack. I was a little late on I'm getting the hobbits. And there we go. We've reached our command limit again. Because he is starting to destroy my outside farms now. Let's go ahead and harass that. So he's got this battalion of cavalry out, which is going to help him a huge amount to gain some of the map control back. I'm still late on my... I just seem like I've been late on everything in this game so far. I've been late on getting the hobbits. I was late on getting my military upgrade from here. Obviously, I was later in getting the inside economy. But obviously, that was counteracted by the fact that I've got the majority of the map still. Although he's doing a huge amount to gain that control back. And actually, one kind of lone pike will probably be a good idea to try and defend some of the map against some of this cavalry harassment. It is becoming very difficult, and this is an excellent way to counter my personal strategy, by the way, of going for the outside farms, is cavalry, and that's part of the reason why I like to go for such early cavalry, is because I know that is the best counter to my strategy. So if I can kind of get cavalry out quicker than my enemy and build an overwhelming cavalry force, then hopefully I will be winning the cavalry battles. And then that way, like do a preemptive counter to the best counter to my strategy. So here we go. We finally got enough command points to get that pike out. We should hopefully slow his harassment of my farms. Now let's rush for some heavy armor. Let's see how's he doing. So he's got his level 2 building out already. So that's not great news. And let's see. Oh, he's gone for forged blades. Okay, so you guys need to increase your speed, and this is a huge problem as well because my pikes actually here are slower, and also Gildor is slower than the units, and income is cavalry as well. So excellent play here from WCP. So I need to really just come over here and defend these guys. Hopefully these don't die. I'm going to have to throw a heal in there and bring them back to the well as soon as I possibly can. Let's try and do some damage over there. In comes the heavy armor. Now I will need some cavalry of my own at this point. So here's the new armor. Yes, and that is an example of really how to use cavalry well with Imladris. And that is to get some of your sword battalions with the speed boost and really target your enemy's pikes. I'm talking about an Imladris mirror here. Yes, get the speed boost on your soldiers. And the combination with the forged blades is extremely nice as well because really it's going to deal a huge amount of damage to the pikes. Because yes, I can run away with my swordsman from his swordsman when he gets the speed boost, but I can't run away with my pikeman, and if he can kill my pikeman, then he can trample the rest with the cavalry. So some very nice play there from WCP. I've done quite a bit of splitting here, so hopefully that's going to help me out a bit. And I've still got quite a lot of the map. So really I'm almost fighting an economy battle here. And just hoping that his overwhelming force of units isn't going to do too much damage to me. So let's get a unit out here. These guys are in huge trouble already. So now I'm going to have to start clumping a lot more. So, I mean, I don't think he's got any pikes out yet. So that's going to be nice when my cavalry finally come out. Let's heal up a little bit. So let's see. I've got quite a few command points here on the inside of my base. Okay, let's go like this. Heal up a little bit. It's just difficult to counter his cavalry as well at the moment. I send one unit of pikes off here because I have got 2 in this clump. Let's upgrade these guys with heavy armor. So yes, another thing about gaining map control, especially when your enemy gets cavalry out, is using one battalion of pikemen, especially if they're a good pikeman like Imladris pikemen are. That can really be a huge thorn in the side of your enemy. It's a quite easy counter when you're playing Imladris though, because you can just use the speed boost on one of your sword battalions to chase it down. And you're almost guaranteed to kill it in that way. Now I'm going to have to use my powers very effectively here. So I'm actually just going to use my cavalry here to gain some more of the map. Let's see. I'm also struggling for command points. Which one did I upgrade? This one. So Aerostar increases, or rather decreases, the time it takes to upgrade one of your buildings, whether that be pantry or resource upgrade. Let's grab these. You guys can come over here. So yeah, I mean, really, he was winning the battles very early on in the game. I think maybe I was slightly ahead on economy just through the early map control that I had, which has allowed me to hang on, and it's allowed me to ensure that the losses I suffered weren't too damaging, because I had enough money to buy a lot of the stuff back. So let's see if I can do any damage to these guys, potentially with the Breeze of Manway as well. Hopefully he's going to charge into my pikes. He's not. Really, you never want to rely on micro mistakes from your enemy in a game. So I'm just going to use those, that cavalry and, oh goodness me, talking about micro mistakes. I'm going to have to just use the Breeze of Manway there to save that battalion, which is really not what I wanted to use it for. So let's get, I think one more battalion of cavalry will be enough, and let's just get a few more units out here as well. Okay, those guys are going to die. Just get the speed boost on that. So that's nice. So I'm going to be using the same tactic that he used against me now to really target his pikes with the speed boost. And then try and trample the rest. So still I've got quite a bit of the map, and really this is becoming a bit of a map control battle more than anything else. And really it's becoming an economy battle. He had an opportunity to rush into my base then, which would probably have been a good idea. Need to pull these guys back. And actually he does run into my base, so that is terrible news for me. So we're going to have to use the hobbits there as well. So terrible, terrible play from me so far. And look at the damage that these upgraded swords do. And really this is going to hit my economy very, very hard if he manages to kill a lot of stuff here. Luckily those hobbits are going to distract him a little bit. I'm going to come in with my cavalry. So that could have been a lot worse than it was. And really that's the power of getting postern gates. is you can easily avoid that kind of issue. Oh, here we go. A little bit of bad micromanagement there from him to charge into my pikes. So, pretty bad play from me so far. Let's see if I can try and pull it around. And luckily for me, I've still got quite a bit of the map. Let's not forget to use Aerostar. And really, you want to, if there's no other better reason to use Aerostar, you want to just use it on your production building that has the most, that produces the most amount of resources. The only exception to that would be if you're desperate for more command points, or if you, and that is bad macro there from him. And actually, I'm going to put them in Porcupine, but there we go. A good idea to use the Breeze of Manway there to save his battalions of cavalry. I'm actually now thinking about going for the Linden Archers because they're excellent. They're very good at killing elite units. And of course, all of Imladris' troops are elite unless you go for the Dunedain outpost. And here we go. He's going for a big attack now. He's also summoned the Hobbits. So this could be bad news for me. Actually, I'm just going to have to bring my cavalry in as well. I'm actually just going to have to try and retreat as much as I possibly can. And I'm going to take quite a few losses here. But once again, and look at this. Look at the power points that he's getting. He's got enough for the cloud break. The something of a man, I think it is. So really, he's got quite a few command points through killing a lot of my units. Let's pull back to the well here and try and heal up and save as much as we can. Those swordsmen are away from the pikes, so I might be able to get a few hits in there and get some command points of my own. Power points of my own, I should say. So yes, I mean, very, very well played so far from WCP, and I'm in quite a bit of trouble here. As we see, a lot of the map is becoming outside of my control as well. So I'm just relying on not losing the economy battle at this point. So you guys can go over here. Let's split my cavalry a little bit so we can deal more damage at the same time. So everybody's got heavy armor now. Let's get some forge blades on my pikes because forge blades on pikes do additional damage towards cavalry and monsters, and he's got some cavalry out. So if he manages to accidentally charge into some of my pikes, he's going to suffer a huge amount of damage. So he's outnumbering me in cavalry now, which is not a good sign. You guys come over here and look at the damage. Look at the flanking damage as well of his cavalry to mine. And there goes one of my battalions. So that's terrible news. And let's see. So here I'll use Aerostar on that too. And but at the cost of losing one of his battalions, hopefully. Here, because they do seem a little bit trapped. Oh, it just about survives. So that's a little bit unlucky for me. So let's see. I'm going to get some archers out. Usually I like to get Kiridan before I get the archers out. But I think because we've both got mixed armies, I think the archers are going to actually help me quite a bit in these what I assume will be micro-intensive battles. There's a Gildor. Let's see here. I think Gildor just died there. Rip Gildor. 2017. So you guys pull over here, and let's see what we can do now. So I'm actually just going to wait for my archers to come out, and I think they're actually going to be a huge help to me. Make sure my gate is closed because I do believe. Did I get a postern gate? I'm sure I tried to get one at one point. So yeah, here we go. Really it is so focused on the map control, and really that's what I want the focus to be on. Is the map control. Here's my archers. Yes, I wanted it to be focused on map control for quite a lot of the game, because he was overwhelming me in terms of forces. Another advantage of these archers are the heroic units, and heroic units heal other units around them. So that's going to be nice. So I've basically got a mobile well now as well with me. So let's upgrade you guys with some forge blades. So I've gained a little bit of map control over on this side of the map through my cavalry. There's that one unit left, and hopefully the archers will actually kill it. And actually he's going to charge in. So once again, a little bit of bad micromanagement there from WCP. So here we go. Let's move up here. And as we see, he's splitting his units. So he's got some cavalry over here harassing and some cavalry over here. But once again, I've got these two on this side of the map, and I've got the entire bottom half. So the battle for the map control seems to be going in my favour, whereas the battle for actual units so far has been in his favour. But I hope that the resources that I gained, really twofold. The resources that I gained meant that my losses in troops weren't so hugely significant, because I had the money to replace them. Let me close the window. There's these guys that drive these remote control cars around in this park. I live right next to a park, and they drive these mobile cars around all the time. It's really annoying. Anyway, yes, it was twofold really. It was that the units that I lost wasn't such a huge deal for me, because I had the money to replace them. And there was a second point. I can't remember what it was. I'm sure I'm going to remember in a minute what the second point was. Yes. Oh, yes. The winning of the map control battle, hopefully now, has gone enough in my favour that I've got enough economy to actually have a more superior army to his now. So now, actually, hopefully, the actual unit battles will start to go into my favour. That is at least what I'm hoping. Especially now that I've got a mixed army through getting that battalion of archers out. Now, I've only got one battalion of them, so they're not going to do a huge amount. Hopefully I can kill... like, it depends how many units of pikes he's got as well. Like, if he's only got one unit of pikes, I can easily target him with these super strong archers and really start to deal some huge damage. So he's using a speed boost on his cavalry. I'm just going to have to do exactly the same to run away. So it seems like he's got a similar idea, but unluckily for him, it looks like I'm going to be able to kill it before he gets any out. Here's his entire army now. And it's a little bit laggy. Let's see what we can do here. I need to be using some kind of buff on my guys. You here. It's very difficult to micromanage, especially when it's laggy like this. Here's my archers. So yes, that was super difficult to micromanage, and it was extremely laggy, and I'm going to have to turn my graphics down in the next game because of this lag. Where's my... Here we go. So what I want to be doing is targeting his pikes. Make sure my cavalry isn't charging into pikes. And when his horn runs out, I'm going to use this as well. So he's used it on me, now I'm going to use it on him. So everybody's scared. So everybody attack that pike unit now. And I'm just going to come in with the cavalry and attack everything else. So hopefully, this is going to be a decisive victory for me now. And it seems like a lot of his stuff is dead. Which of course is very nice for me. And there we go, there's the GG. Oh my goodness, that was a very difficult fight. Congratulations to WCP for fighting so well in that game. He has no idea how the fuck that happened. I've got maybe a reasonable idea, and that was that actually my economy was slightly better than his through the outside economy buildings. And although he was winning a lot of the early fights, you know, like when you have a better economy than your enemy, really losing units is like him losing units is more important than you losing units. because if you haven't got the money to pay for to rebuild your units, then obviously losing them is a huge deal. Whereas if you have enough money to replace them, it's not such a big deal. And that actually is a feature of chess. One of the biggest features of chess is that when you're ahead in units, trading units is your main priority. And it's very similar to real-time strategy games. There's a slight subtle variation in that when you're ahead on economy, trading is in your favour. Even if sometimes you lose the battle, if you deal enough damage to your enemy, trading can actually be beneficial for you. So an excellent game there, and really he was beating me without a doubt in the early game. Luckily, that bit of extra economy gave me enough to stay in the game, to slowly build up some more of an advantage and start to win. And let's have a look at the graph here. Very, very close. And actually, it seemed as if he was starting to build a better score towards the end, right up until that fight there. Well, I had potentially a better mix of an army and maybe some better micromanagement of the cavalry. But either way, I'm definitely going to turn my graphics down in the next game because it was a little bit too laggy to micro there. So I hope it wasn't too laggy for you, the viewer. But anyway, thank you for watching and goodbye. Oh, and don't forget to have a look at the stats. So here we go. Unit kill to death ratio, 1.49. I do believe, and actually you can't see this statistic, I'm almost 100% sure that early on in the game, his kill to death ratio would have been higher. That he would have had a positive kill to death ratio, and mine would have been negative. However, that huge army that I killed very late on in the game pushed mine above his. So thank you for watching, and here's the economy as well. Don't forget, this really was the main focus, and the reason why I think I won that battle was the economy victory. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.